Goedenavond. Goedenavond iedereen die hier al aanwezig is. Good evening everybody. Welcome to CIDI's lecture, another lecture in a long series since we introduced Zoom lectures here. And I want to welcome our guest, Dan Tirza. Welcome, Danny. My name is Hannah Luden, CIDI's director. You probably know me by now from all those lectures. And I would like to introduce our speaker of today, Dan Tirza, who was a colonel in the Israeli Defense Force. He's now retired from the army, but still very connected. He was a specialist, he is a specialist in strategic planning and border protection. In the period between 1994 and 2007, Danny headed the military unit of strategic and regional planning at the Central Command of the Israeli Army. He was involved in negotiations with the Palestinians on the agreements between the parties on a territorial and security issues. He's an expert on both issues. He advised prime ministers, ministers, and heads of counter-terror organizations in Israel. And he was responsible especially, and that's how we met in fact, for planning the security fence between Israel and the West Bank. Which he also managed its resurrection. In 2004, Danny visited the Netherlands and he testified in a biased hearing of, as he calls it, of the ICC in The Hague in the trial against the issue of the security fence. And he might tell us something about it, although this is of course not the issue of today. So, but of course, all these things are interconnected. Currently, Danny is an independent security advisor. He's often given tours to many VIPs who visit Israel, among others to people come with CIDI. I understand that there are some people who have already met you before, Danny, in previous tours CIDI organized. So you have a special welcome from Danny and from myself. I must tell you, joining into the checkpoint in Bethlehem is an unforgettable experience. One gets an extensive and very intensive insight into the situation on the ground, just 10 minutes ride from Jerusalem. And of course, not only the situation, but also behind screens, to the challenges which are inherent to such a situation for both Israelis and Palestinians, but also to police people and militaries, civilians as well. Danny is unquestionably the expert on this explosive issue and many issues related to this specific question of checkpoints, fences, security. Dan Tirza is also involved in different projects, for example, the Initiative for Cooperation between Israel and its neighbors, such as the industrial park, which was started between Israel, Jordan, and the Palestinians. Which is quite an interesting cooperation project. Today, Danny will tell us more about what we know and might know and don't know and guess regarding the issues of the Trump plan and eventual annexation of areas in the West Bank, which might come to us in the beginning of July. Danny will talk for about 35 minutes. You are welcome to ask any questions you want. You can use for that, you can use the Q&A if you are on Zoom. You can use the Q&A button below your screen. And please, please keep your questions short in order for me to be able to read them and structure them in such a way that it will be coherent for the listeners. And I will pose those questions, at least some of them. I hope we can pose them all to Danny. Danny, thank you very much for joining us. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Hannah. So you're all welcome to Kfar Adumim in Israel. We're just about 17 kilometers east from Jerusalem toward the Dead Sea. We're in an area that is called Judea Desert, but Kfar Adumim is a very nice community, green one between the desert here. When you'll be in Israel, you all welcome to see our very unique community. These days are very special days in Israel, special days in the world, because nobody thought that we will get to these challenges of the coronavirus. And the coronavirus give us some other perspective about things that are going on the ground and in the world, especially the relations between the Jewish communities and in the diaspora and Israel itself. We saw, unfortunately, that in a lot of Jewish communities in the world, there were coronavirus people that were harmed from that, very big communities. A lot of people were ill, some of them even died, and a lot of people understand that we have to make the connection between us and the Jewish communities better, not only one way, that you support us as it was before, then Israel can support the Israeli communities all over the world. In these special days that we see that we have challenges of unemployment, challenges of economic, challenges of health, the main issue of people are calling it the annexation. I am calling it putting the Israeli sovereignty, or the Israeli law on the Israeli settlements and the Jordan Valley is an issue that doesn't bother most of the Israelis, but it's a great change in the geopolitical situation in that area, but it doesn't find the way to be the main topic in the news. So first of all, why now? Why now? It's because of the plan of the century that President Trump put on the table in January. After about 3 years of working on this plan, they tried to find a new formula. The new formula is not something that it's more of the same as all other initiatives that were in the past. This idea is change, a great change in the way that we think about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It's a change in the paradigm between the two sides, because till today, in all the plans, all the negotiations, all the way, we were thinking in a way that Israel is the area that was before 67. The West Bank is an area that we're keeping for the negotiation. Probably the solution, there can be a solution. The solution is probably two national state solution. Israel will be on the area that we were before 67 with changes of the border between us and them, and will compensate the Palestinians in swap lands inside Israel. That was the idea, that the area belonged to them. So we are taking from the area that belonged to them, we are taking some area for the settlements, we'll compensate them in areas from other places. Trump plan is coming from another way at all. The paradigm of Trump plan is that all the area from the sea to the river, all Eretz Israel belong to us. We are ready to give something that we believe that belong to us, to the Palestinians, because we don't want to rule another nation. That's against the Jewish values, that's against the way that we see the life in Israel, and we don't want to have a majority of Arabs inside Israel. And therefore, the plan is talking about that all the area belong to Israel, and Israel is going to give area for the Palestinians that they can have their own state, but this state has to be neutralized, and it has to be a state that can live normally and quietly beside Israel. This state that will stay near Israel or will live with Israel with good relations, economic relations, security relations, social relations, this state can be there only if the Palestinians will agree to disarm Gaza Strip and to disarm the West Bank, and they will stop the incitement against Israel. They will recognize the right of the Jews to have their own state here. It's not a normal state, Israel. Israel is the state of all the Jews all over the world, not only the Jews that are living here. And therefore, if the Palestinians are not ready to recognize our right to be here, they cannot have their own state just near us, because there will be a security problem from this area. So this is the main idea of Trump plan, and the American administration is ready and suggested to give the Palestinians $50 billion American dollars that they can have good economic, good life, and better situation in the area that they can live just near us. That was the main idea. And in this idea, the Americans went to the countries around us, to Jordan, to Saudi Arabia, to the Gulf countries, and to Egypt. And the main idea was, okay, the Palestinian can have a state, an independent state, but this state has to be neutralized, and this state cannot harm Israel. The plan is very thick, more than 180 pages, but they put in the end 2 maps. And the problem with maps is that maps is making everything very, very specific. Although the maps is on the top of the maps, it's written concept maps, but the concept of the map was that everyone, Israelis and Palestinians, won't leave their houses. They will stay in their houses. The Palestinian entity will have an area that will be connected. This area they can live in. They don't have to pass Israel. They are not under the Israelis. And if they will be ready, this area can be a Palestinian state. The problem is that some of the Israelis that saw this program says, okay, we will have the area, we will have the area that is going to be part of Israel. That's very nice. But 16 Israeli communities will stay like enclaves in that area. And therefore they say, first of all, we don't want the Palestinian state here. We don't believe the Palestinians. We don't think that there is a place for a Palestinian state here. And this is what is called the settlers' leadership, or the extreme right wing inside Israel. The problem is that these extreme right wing parties inside Israel making a lot of noise these days, and they say, okay, we don't want, although the plan is giving Israel 30% of the West Bank, we don't want it, because this plan recognizes the right of the Palestinians to have an independent state, and we're afraid that this state will be here and this state will harm Israel. This is the right-wing parties, very small group, but they make a lot of noise. These people are part of the base of Netanyahu, and therefore it's a great political problem from here inside Israel. Most of the Israelis says, okay, we like the plan, but we want to do it with the Palestinians. We don't want it to be one way. We want to make it in agreement. Okay, Israel says to the Palestinians, okay, come to the negotiation table. But the Palestinians don't want to come to the negotiation table, and that's what they're doing for a long time. So if we're talking about this program these days, and everyone says, wow, it's a very bad plan for the Palestinians, the Palestinian leadership can stop it in 1 minute. Just say that they are ready to come to the negotiation table. In the minute that they will come to the negotiation table, there will be no annexation plan. It will be part of the agreement that will be in the future. But as the Palestinians all the time never miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity, it's again, the Palestinian says no. So Netanyahu now says, okay, you don't want, I'll take what I can. And if you want to come, you can come. You don't want to come, okay. We will put what is called the evidence on the ground, or you can see that we can these days do an historical thing. We can design our borders, and especially the eastern border of Israel. Why the eastern border of Israel, what is called the Jordan Valley, is so important for Israel? On the other side of the Jordan River, the east bank of the Jordan River, it's Jordan Kingdom. Jordan Kingdom have a peace agreement with Israel. So what's the problem? Well, the problem is that Jordan is very weak these days, and the Jordanian king himself says that if Israel will take steps, he will cancel the peace agreement with Jordan. So it's against himself. If we cannot say that it's a stabilized situation, that we can say that Jordan is there and Jordan can be a buffer between Iran, Iraq, and Syria and the eastern countries, the eastern front of Israel. So we have to be there. We have to be on the Jordan Valley and to keep our east front from any enemy in the future. And this is an opportunity that we didn't have all the time before that. And the time window is going to be closed. The time window is going to be closed. I think in November, there are the elections in the United States. We don't know what will happen in these elections. And especially we don't know what even Trump will think about these issues after the elections. And therefore, the government of Israel have to take an act till November. What will be the act? We don't know. There's some maps. Nobody saw the map that Netanyahu is going to do, but I just want to open some of my maps. 1 minute.
Yes, Danny, please. I wanted to ask, I think it's going to be more concrete if you can show us on the maps what we're talking about.
That's right. In a minute. Okay. No, that's not that. That's that. Okay. Can you see it now? 1, 2, 5.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. So some people are calling it annexation. Annexation is to annex something that don't belong to you. It belongs to someone else, and you are taking it for yourself. Other people calling it putting the Israeli sovereignty on this area. That's kind of the things that Israel can do. But the main thing, the idea is putting the Israeli jurisdiction in that area. We are not talking about all the area. If we're talking about Israel, you can see here, this is the main Israel. You can see from here, the West Bank, this is the Jordan River, the Dead Sea, the Sea of Galilee, and this is Jordan Kingdom. So the West Bank is here. We are not talking, there is no one plan that talks about taking all the area or applying all the area, because 40% of this area, all the Palestinian towns and villages, and all the Palestinian built-up areas are under the Palestinian Authority jurisdiction. In that area, what is called Zone A and B, 99% of the Palestinians are living. So Israel is only on Zone C, that it's 60% of the West Bank. This map will probably show when Netanyahu presented in September his idea of putting the Israeli sovereignty on the Jordan Valley. Here you can see Jordan Kingdom. This is the West Bank. Jerusalem is somewhere here. And the area, the eastern area of the West Bank is Jordan Valley. The Jordan Valley is about 21% of the West Bank. In this area, and I'm taking out Jericho because in Jericho itself, it will stay a Palestinian area, but all the other area, there are less than 3,000 Palestinians that are living in the villages, and they will stay in the Palestinian area. So the idea of this map of Netanyahu in September was that we are taking only Zone C. We're putting the Israeli sovereignty only on area where Palestinians are not living. Only Israelis are living in this area, and this area is very, very important for the Israeli security. This is the map of the vision of President Trump. You can see all the beige area here, including Israel and including the Jordan Valley. That's the area that will be Israel in the future. And that area include 30% of the West Bank, and Israel will compensate the Palestinians with 15% of the amount area of the Judea and Samaria around the West Bank and in the Negev here near the border with Egypt. This is Gaza Strip, and Gaza Strip will stay under the Palestinians, and there will be an underground tunnel between the West Bank and Gaza Strip, so the Palestinians will have free access from the north of the West Bank to this area. When the Palestinians will come back to the negotiation table, when the Palestinians will agree about the conditions that they can have an independent state. But what the map shows here is that 30% of the area is going to be Israel. If I'm putting it in colors, it's the same map. But this map you can see in colors, this is Israel. The green areas are the West Bank and Gaza Strip and the area that Israel will compensate the Palestinians. But the blue area here, that's the 30% that Israel will annex to herself in the future agreement. If I'm taking only this area, and you can see that's the same area, but here you can see the blue area is the area that is going to be, in the end, it will be part of Israel, and the white area will be the Palestinian state. As you can see, it's a very, very complicated map and a very problematic one, because it's not only these 16 communities that will stay like enclaves in the area, the Israeli settlements that will stay in the end of these ropes. You can see small places, only a road take them toward Israel. These places cannot have new buildings there. They cannot have anything there. I don't think that they can live in this situation, but the main idea of this map was that most of the Israelis will live and they will be in contact, or there will be a contact to Israel by the roads and by Israeli area, the blue area that you can see here in the map. I don't know if a teacher can draw a map in school and say, this is the map of Israel, all these lines. But the idea of this map is another concept, as I told you before, and the concept is that the Palestinians can have an independent state. In these places, the Palestinians have to cross blue areas. There will be junctions that the Palestinians won't see Israelis. There will be no checkpoint, and it will be one area for the Palestinians. As I said before, this map is very problematic, not only because what it shows, then it goes to the end of the negotiation, to the end of all this way that we are talking about. And when Netanyahu is talking today about the map, I don't know which map he will choose. This is one of the options that is put on the table, but we think that he will choose something else. This map is a map that what Netanyahu said when he was in the White House, and you can see that here he's taking not annexing, he's putting the Israeli law on the Jordan Valley. It's thinner than the Israeli map, but it's still all the security area of the Jordan Valley and the shore of the Dead Sea is in Israeli hand, but the settlements are staying only the settlements themselves and not what is called the blocks, the areas that are connecting the Israeli settlements. It's like small enclaves in the area, and the area stays as zone C, so Israelis can have free access in this area. Palestinians have free access in the area. It won't change the day-to-day life on the ground. It just will show that Israel is putting the sovereignty on the Israeli settlements in that area. And therefore, we are saying that we believe that this area must be part of Israel forever. Well, there are a lot of other initiatives like this one that Knesset member Ayelet Shaked put to the new Knesset in Israel. In this map, she said Israel will put the Israeli law on the Jordan Valley and the seashore of the Dead Sea, larger than the former map. It's just like the map that Netanyahu showed in September, and it will take some of the settlements, not all of them, only Ma'ale Adumim, Gush Etzion, Ofra, and Givat Ze'ev, just to show that we are doing something, but it's not everything. It's something in the way. I don't know what will Netanyahu will choose, but the main idea of Netanyahu is to put his legacy, that he is the one that designed the Israeli borders, and he is the one that made President Trump to have his suggestion, and he believes, Netanyahu believes, that this is an historical point, that if we won't do it today, it will never come back. Although a lot of people, especially our friends from the European Union, are very angry about it because most of them believe in the Palestinian narrative that says that all the land belongs to them and you cannot do anything till the Palestinians will agree. The Palestinians never come back to the negotiation table. The Palestinians never agree to anything. So if we will wait for them, who knows what will be in the end. if the European Union will make sanctions on Israel, that would be very sad, but I don't think that Israel is afraid from that, because there is the main thing that most of the Israelis believe in is that it doesn't matter what we'll do. The European Union will be pro-Palestinian and not understand the Israeli point of view. Although the Palestinians are making terror attacks against Israel, they don't think that the Palestinians must be punished. In their eyes, we are the occupiers here, we are the strong one, we have to give up for the Palestinians. The solution will be a two-state solution along the green line, the border, the line that was between Israel and Jordan till 67, and they don't care about the Israeli interests. I don't say that this is truth. I said that this is what most of the Israeli thinks. In the United States, we have a very, very friendly, Trump is very friendly to Israel. We never had such a president in the United States that is so friendly for Israel, and he's giving Israel the opportunity. What the United States says to Israel today, tell us what you want, and then we'll say to you if it's okay. But first of all, decide what Israel wants. And Israel didn't come back with any map, because Israel interior political problems about what is going to be here. We even don't know what the parties are thinking about it, because nobody saw a map that Netanyahu is going to use. So there are a lot of issues, a lot of people are talking about them, but even the maps that you saw before, most of the Israelis don't recognize these maps. They don't see it, they don't know the details, and most of the journalists that are talking about these issues are talking about political issues, political problems. They don't talk about what this plan will make to the relations between Israelis, Palestinians in this area, what it will make to the agreement, the peace agreement with Jordan, how Israel is going to live in the Middle East in this situation. Maybe we'll gain some more land. It's not that we'll gain it, because we are already there. It's something symbolic, and we can pay a lot. The price is very high, and really, I don't see what we'll gain from this program in the short time. Of course, symbolics make a lot of things, but it doesn't matter, because when we come back to the negotiation table, everything will be open again. Like after the annexation of East Jerusalem, we talked about Jerusalem. We talked about the Golan Heights with the Syrians. So even if this plan will be, okay, everything is open on the federal negotiation between the two sides in the future. So you can see that it's a very, very complicated issue, but most of the Israelis don't pay enough attention to it, because they don't believe that Netanyahu will do something. I myself really believe that he will do something, especially in the Jordan Valley, because he wants his legacy to be the legacy of the man that drew the borders of Israel, and he put the security belt and the security barrier between the eastern countries and Iran and Israel. And therefore, you're all welcome to see it, you're all welcome to read the papers. I will tell you, most of the journalists didn't saw the maps. They're talking about things that they don't know, but it doesn't matter. Okay, I'm ready for questions.
Well, let's start. Thank you, Danny. Let's start with why does it not matter? Because you don't believe anything will happen at least?
No, it will. Maybe Netanyahu will do something, but when we, after it, that when we come to the negotiation table, and I don't know when it will be, everything will be open again. Because this is the area. And when you're talking with the Palestinians, you cannot say to the Palestinians, your state will be only 70% of the area, or 84% because you'll get some areas in the Negev, in the desert, or in the Negev, or something like this. So the negotiation will be open again, and everything will be open again when we come back to the negotiation table.
So you believe, in fact, that this is a push to go into, to come to the negotiation table?
Yes, it's a great push. And if the Palestinians will be a little rational, the first thing that they have to say to Israel, we are ready to come back to the negotiation table.
Well, we've got some questions. I'll try to make some sense in the structure of the questions. The first question I want to ask is about the fence, which you were responsible for. What is the relationship between the fence and where it stands now and any of the plans at hand, or scenarios maybe is a better word, at hand?
Well, the fence is not a border. The fence is just a security infrastructure between the West Bank and Israel. And therefore, when we were at the negotiation with the Palestinians in the Annapolis process in 2018, 2019, Israel said to the Palestinians, the fence is not a border. The Palestinians said, this is not a border. It's a reference line. Yes, it's a reference line, but not more than that. So the security fence is not a line for the future peace, because Israel have a lot of interests behind the fence, and the Palestinians have interest in the other side of the fence. The fence is only a security line.
But that security line will be obsolete if anything changes on the ground.
Yes, in the Trump map, the area, the fence will stay in its place. Okay, they saw the line of the fence, and it's a reference line for them, but it's only reference.
I see. Some people ask, don't you think an annexation will result in a situation of apartheid?
Which apartheid? Apartheid is something that in one entity, one state, you put two laws for people, one from other race or something like this. This map is talking about two entities. Israel is one entity, the Palestinian one is another entity, and this is relations between states. It doesn't do anything with apartheid.
So you're saying, in fact, that if this plan will be drawn and realized, then there will be, in fact, a Palestinian state.
That's right.
And the Palestinians do not consider it that way, right?
The Palestinian says, okay, we want an independent state, but we want everything. We don't want only 70%.
So they don't agree, but they...
Of course.
But what do you expect that will happen if this plan will pursue?
Well, the Palestinian Authority have a problem. They cannot now launch another intifada because the people in the streets are against the Palestinian Authority because they are corrupt. Nobody wants the Hamas here. The Hamas is in Gaza. People don't want to live here like in Gaza. So the people in the West Bank, the people in the streets, they will support something else. I don't know what will be the something else, but the Palestinian Authority all the time showed its own people that they are not acting for the favorite of their own people. And therefore, I don't know what will happen in the Palestinian Authority. Even if President Abbas will say to his people, I'm canceling the Palestinian Authority. So what? The Palestinians are staying there. Okay, there will be no government in that area. There will be a regional government there. There will be a support from Israel and from other countries. And in the end, it will be a Palestinian Authority in that way or the other one. Jordan and the Arab states, I think that they will be very angry at the first steps. Maybe they will take their ambassadors back, but their interest is to be in good relations with Israel, commercial relations, security relations, and therefore there will be a diplomatic problem, but not more of that. The same thing will happen with the European Union. Unfortunately, there will be a very big diplomatic problem with the European Union. Maybe they will cancel the support of Israel in some programs, especially Horizon, but that Israel needs it. Israel want to be part of the Horizon plan. Israel want to have good relations with the European Union, but they cannot make sanctions because, according to the European Parliament, they have to have 100% of the fingers there, and
consensus. Yes,
few fingers that will be pro-Israel, and therefore they cannot make sanctions of Israel. Of course, we don't want to check them. We don't want to challenge them, and we really want to have the good relations with the countries inside Europe, and that's part of the price that Israel will pay. If in the White House there will be a change, if President Trump will lose in November, I don't know what will happen. Biden says that he is against this plan. The Democratic Party is, of course, against this plan. And Israel have to think very, very carefully about that. Today we have the support. I don't know what will happen after January 2021.
So what you're saying, it's a risk because we don't know if we will keep American support in the next term of any president. You're not even sure, if I understood you well, how Trump will look at it in his second term, if he ever is elected for a second term.
That's right.
So in your eyes, it's a risk to do this annexation, unilateral annexation?
That's
Yes.
right.
But is the risk a political one or is it a strategic one?
I think that it's a political one.
And what is your estimate? Will many of the coalition partners vote against any plan of annexation?
Well, that we really don't know because the blue-white party is made from people that are pro the program, but in this situation, I don't know what they will do. They said that they are against doing it unilateral. They want to do it with the Palestinians, but the Palestinians don't want to come. Gantz and Ashkenazi were in the army. They know the importance of the Jordan Valley to Israel. So if the plan will be only the Jordan Valley, probably they will be pro it.
So what you're saying, there is a bigger chance of consensus to annexation of the Jordan Valley minimum or something like that of the Jordan Valley, and there is less chance for consensus for more than that, for the 30% annexation.
That's right.
Yeah. There is another question, I hope I understand it well. Could Israel sweeten the deal for the Palestinian authorities by offering not to give them Gaza and the route to Gaza?
Gaza, it's a Palestinian area. Gaza is not under Israeli occupation. It's a Palestinian area. The Palestinian Authority lose it to the Hamas party. The Hamas party is now ruling Gaza. In the future, it will be one entity. I don't know how they will do it, but most of the people in Gaza realize that it's a very bad conditions to live under the Hamas. So if there will be some kind of elections in the future, in my eyes, in my view, the Palestinian Authority, the PLO, the Fatah party can win even in Gaza. Maybe it will be inside conflict between the Hamas and the Fatah, but we cannot get inside that issue. It's belong to them. It's their issue, and
we're leaving it to them. That's what you're saying. But is it something Israel calculates what will happen in a worst case scenario if Hamas takes the West Bank over?
We don't think that Hamas will do it, but of course we have plans. The army have plans all the time, all kinds of security plans. Of course, we cannot get inside the elections. When there will be elections in that area, we have to be sure that the elections will be between parties that are pro the people and not like the Hamas, but Israel cannot be involved in the elections.
Okay, so there is a question about could the Arab countries play a role in a peace process?
Well, we really want the Arab countries to take part in this, because today Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, the Gulf countries, they are all with good relations with Israel. These relations are not in public. They don't have ambassadors in Israel, but the economic and the security cooperation between us and them are very high. We don't want that this plan will make them to go back to the conflict with Israel. We want to keep it, and therefore Gerald Kushner made a lot of discussions with these Arab countries before they issue the program.
I see. There are two questions about the Palestinians living in the area. One question regards the role of the Israeli High Court protecting or having any role in the dispute about Palestinian land. How do you see that now? And do you see any change, if anything, will happen with annexation? Okay, let's start with that question.
Okay, the plan of Netanyahu, only the Jordan Valley, there will be no Palestinians that will be annexed to Israel. The Palestinians in this area will be in a Palestinian, they are written these days, registered these days on Palestinian villages. So the land will stay, the ownership of the land will stay, the ownership of the land, the people will have free access there. Palestinians will live under the Palestinian Authority. There will be no Palestinian that will have to change the place that he is living or going to other places. So the rights of the Palestinians in this area will be kept. If we're going to the maximum plan of Trump, there will be about 5% of the Palestinian population that will live under Israel. In this situation, Israel have to give these people the full rights as Israeli, the same blue ID as I have, and all the civilian rights that I have as any other Israeli Arab. I think that it's very good for these people because they want to have the benefits of the Israeli citizenship, but they don't have to say that they're giving up their national identity. Okay, they will live under Israel, but their national rights will be in Palestine. That's okay. That happens in a lot of places around the world. The ownership of the land won't be changed, so people won't be harmed by this program. Of course, they can say we want to live under our flag and so on, but I think this is a small issue. But if I am talking about benefits and cost, I think that this is something that we can make, and it's not a big number of Palestinians that will have to live in the Israeli area.
That means
we're
that
not talking about this thing today. We're talking about it in the future. Today we're talking about the Israeli settlements and the Jordan Valley.
I see. So what you're saying, the whole issue of land ownership, especially private land ownership, is not an issue within the plan?
Yes, the land will still belong to the people that they own it.
Okay, but there are some disputes about current settlements, right?
The settlements today, all the settlements are built on public lands or private Israeli lands. In places that they try to build on private Palestinian lands, the government of Israel dismantled these places. Even last week, the army, the Israeli civil administration, removed, I think it was 30 buildings in the West Bank in Israeli settlements that were built on Palestinian private land. The idea is that there are some outposts that are illegal, but if they're built on public lands, it's a problem in the court. If they're built on private Palestinian lands, we have to dismantle them.
And that's still going on.
Yeah.
There is a question, what will happen if Netanyahu fails to annex? Will that lead to new elections?
Well, if there will be new elections, according to the last
polls,
the last week, he will gain 41 seats, so from 120. So he can be very happy if there will be another elections, and probably it will just help him, and not he's not afraid from it.
No, but the question is, what will be the effect on the annexation plans? Will that strengthen those plans? You were saying that many people do not advise to do that at all. You were not advising to do it.
They don't advise to do it, but it's not the main topic that the Israelis are talking about, the Israelis are thinking about. It's not the main topic in the media. It's something, okay.
So what you're saying, elections, not elections, this is not what really keeps the Israelis awake at night, but this will not make a huge change to the Middle East.
That's right.
Okay. There is another question, I think it should be the last one. If there is a single Palestinian state, I guess the person means in Gaza and the West Bank, how will power be shared between the different parties, Hamas and Fatah and others? Is this something Israel has any say over?
Well, as I said before, that's a Palestinian interior problem that they have to face, and they have their own politics. Of course, we want to help that the Hamas won't take over the West Bank because it's armed, or it's the terrorists that are coming from the Hamas, but we have all the time to keep the sovereignty of the Palestinians to vote for their own people. So if there will be one Palestinian state, they have to decide what they're going to do in Gaza. We can help them, but it's their issue.
I see. Well, Danny, I understand you yourself live in the West Bank, right? You said you live in...
That's right.
In Kfar Adumim. Could you show us on the map where it is that you live? And what will happen to you in any of these plans?
1 minute. Okay, 1 minute, page down. Well, Kfar Adumim is something in the middle between Jerusalem and the Dead Sea.
The Dead
We're
Sea.
just here, but this is a very strategic road number one between Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, and Amman. And therefore, in any plan that you can see, this area, we are just here, this area will be part of the Israeli sovereignty that will connect Israel, Ma'ale Adumim, and the Jordan Valley. It's a very, very strategic road to Israel, and therefore in any plan, you can see it's just here, inside. Okay,
Yeah,
so I'm not afraid about my home. Personally, I am ready to relocate from my home where I live, where my children, my grandchildren live, and I'm living here for 39 years. I'm ready to relocate to another place if there will be a real peace between us and the Palestinians. But it's a long way to go there, and we really, really hope that our children and our grandchildren will live in peace with the Palestinians in that area.
Was that point, as far as you're concerned, a two-state solution?
Yes, but two national state solution, and that's a great difference between what the Palestinians says and what we said. The Palestinians said two-state solution. One state will be Palestine in the West Bank and Gaza. In this state, not even one Jew can live. The other state will be Israel, but Israel will be a democratic state of everyone that will live there. They will have the personal rights and the national rights in that area. So if I can bring my family here from Netherlands, they can bring their family here from Lebanon. So in a very short time, there will be here a majority of Arabs, and there will be another Arab state. We say, no, there will be two national states. One state will be
right of return for Palestinians to Palestine.
That's right. The Palestinians can
I must keep it short because our time is almost over. Excuse me, I'm keeping it short because we're almost over. Your bet, what will happen the 1st of July?
I don't know. Maybe they will keep talking till somewhere in September. And in September, they have to take a decision what they're going to do.
So 1st of July,
elections,
the world will not change.
There will be no change till September.
Okay. Danny, thank you very much. It was very interesting, and I think people get some more idea about what we are talking about and what the problematic is. We will have a discussion about the subject again next week, talking more about how people look at this problem, both on the Israeli and the Palestinian side. You're welcome to join us next week, same time, same place. I want to thank everybody who joined us for this meeting, and I hope I could pose most of the questions you asked. I see another 2 questions, but this is now too late. I'm sorry, we'll have to finish now. I want to remind everybody that you can look at this lecture starting tomorrow, I guess. It will be available online for whoever wants to look at it again and learn more and get more idea about the maps themselves. And you can also look at our previous lectures and our future lectures. You can find them on our events calendar. Thank you very much for joining us, Danny. We do hope that something will push everybody to the negotiation table and some solution will emerge. I wish everybody a very good evening and we'll see you next week. All of you. Thanks for joining us. Good night.